Alright guys, welcome back to Underground Science, and in this video we'll be talking about histamine release in the brain via neurons, alright? And so if you watched my last video on norepinephrine and dopamine release in the brain, hopefully you guys are more familiar with this drawing that I made, right? And hopefully it's not too bad, alright, to get the concept down. But so let's get started, alright? So again, we have a subcortical structure, right, underneath our cerebral cortex in our cerebrum called the hypothalamus, okay? So in this picture, since it's not really that clear anyways, right, because it's not 3D, so let's just go ahead and say the hypothalamus. In our last video, we said it was about right there. All right, so let's just go ahead and say it's about right there, okay? And it's probably obviously not because we're not looking at a 3D version. If we had a 3D version, we could see that the hypothalamus is near the pituitary gland and is near the thalamus, near the infundibulum, right? It's much more clear in the 3D picture. Okay, so let's go ahead and label this as the hypothalamus, our subcortical structure, right? Hypothalamus, very important, right, for many different functions like growth hormone release, prolactin control by controlling the anterior pituitary, right? Growth hormone releasing hormone, right? That's going to control the growth hormone release in our anterior pituitary. Then we have our arcuate nucleus. Like we have many nuclei in the hypothalamus too, which is pretty cool, right? That control many things in the anterior pituitary, and we talked about that blood portal connection from our hypothalamus or anterior pituitary in the previous video, right? That's called the hypophyseal portal system, and the hypothalamus controls our thirst, right? Our thirst, sex drive, and many other important functions. All right, so let's go and get started, right? And also one thing that came to mind is that thyroid hormone, releasing hormone, is a really important hormone that the hypothalamus releases in order for thyroid stimulating hormone to get produced in the anterior pituitary, right? So there's many functions and very vital functions that our awesome hypothalamus does for us. Okay, so and we'll go over thyroid and all that in a future video. All right, so again, let's focus on histamine production or histamine release in our brain. So we have neurons, all right, in our hypothalamus that are responsible for releasing histamine into the cerebral cortex. Okay, so that's all that we're talking about in this video. So we're just trying to get the basic idea that we have many, right, nuclei in our neuron or in our hypothalamus that actually project to the cerebral cortex, like so, right? And what it does is that when it gets to the cerebral cortex, right, when the action potentials get down to cerebral cortex or through the axons and intercerebral cortex and come to the synapse, these neurons release histamine. All right, and histamines are in a class of monoamines. Okay, just like norepinephrine and epinephrine, right, are part of catecholamines. Histamines are part of monoamines. All right, so these are histamine molecules that are released into the cerebral cortex of the brain. All right, released into the cerebral cortex of the brain. All right, so pretty much what happens, again, let's just recap, is that we have a hypothalamus, which is a subcortical structure in our cerebrum, right? So the hypothalamus, and in our hypothalamus, we have nuclei, right, that have axons that project, a bunch of nuclei that have axons that project to our cerebral cortex, which is again this colored structure here. And just a reminder, cerebral cortex, right, so this is our cerebral cortex, and our cerebral cortex, guys, again, is gray matter, right? It's made up of gray matter. And what that means is that we have unmyelinated axons, all right? So no myelin in our axons, all right? So that's all gray matter means. And so we have axons in our hypothalamus that, we have axons in our hypothalamus that will extend out to the cerebral cortex and release histamine, all right? And overall, histamine is really important for inflammation purposes, all right? When inflammation comes in handy, histamine is a good monoamine that increases inflammation, attracting more white blood cells, as we'll see in the immune system, all right? So that's pretty much it. That's histamine release from the hypothalamus. All right. So hopefully this made sense to you guys. And in our next video, we'll talk about, or in our future videos, we'll talk about serotonin release and acetylcholine release, and also other cool topics in biochem, and physics. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe and like. All right, guys. So see you guys, and stay safe.